Hey guys, Bo here at KG5 Media. I'm here with Simon at KG5 Media. Simon, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Bo.
But our more important guest today needs no introduction. One of the most prominent names in Tasmanian and AFL history, Rodney Eade, started his illustrious football playing career down here at the Glenorchy Magpies. Over 250 games at Hawthorn and the Brisbane Bears, including 4 premierships. But most importantly, the TANFL best first-year player in the State League and won the premiership the same year in the Tasmanian State League. State of Origin captain in 1988, and in 1991, Rodney got his first coaching gig at the Brisbane Bears reserve scripts, where he won the premiership in 1991. Replaced Ron Barassi at the Sydney Swans and took them to the grand final in 1996 in his first year as coach. How amazing is that? And then obviously took the Western Bulldogs to 4 finals campaigns and 3 prelims in a row. Rodney, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Bo. Thanks, Simon. Great to be here.
Yeah, and after all that wonderful footy stuff, Rodney, funny enough, we're here to talk about cricket.
It's good. It's certainly my passion. When I was growing up, obviously played footy and cricket, and probably was a bit more passionate about my cricket at an early age, and probably saw that as my not career path, but I thought I might have gone further in cricket than footy actually. So yes, certainly something dear to my heart.
Yeah, it's obviously a very well publicised football career. For those that don't know, Rodney's dad, Brian Eade, is a legend of the Glenorchy Cricket Club and the Newtown Cricket Club. And the reason we're here talking to Rodney today is to promote the upcoming Brian Eade Cup, which is held annually, a bit of a grudge match between Newtown and Glenorchy. So, yeah, it's great to, I guess, have Rodney help us promote that game and I guess learn a little bit about him, his dad and his family's history in cricket.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Yeah, certainly great to be here, and it's I think it's a great initiative. I know it's been going for a while, but certainly Dad would be chuffed about it. He played a fairly long time at Newtown through their golden era. I think they won 7 out of 9 premierships there. Then he moved to Glenorchy and played in a couple more, then played second grade and spent a lot of time at Glenorchy as well. So yeah, he'd be certainly chuffed about it. So that's great.
Yeah, to be a legend and at one club, I think is admirable to be able to do that across 2 clubs and be held in such high regard. He obviously, gave almost 2 lifetimes, one to each club, and he's been recognised, I guess, by both clubs, and then I guess with this particular game and the Brian Eade Cup. So
yeah, it's interesting too because when I was at Newtown, he wasn't coach. He was captain for a while. Then he wanted to coach in his own right. So he went, I don't know if people know, but he went to North Hobart and Newtown wouldn't clear him. And he said, well, I'll only go for 1 year. And so he went, I think it was the 69-70 season. They won the premiership. They won it with Les Appleton, a great fast bowler was there, and a young Bob de Groot who ended up playing footy for Glenorchy as well. And there was a really good side. But then he went back to Newtown as he promised because he was a man of his word. But he never told the North Hobart people. I was speaking to Bob de Groot last year, and he said, we can never understand why Brian left. He said, he never told us. We thought it must have been money dispute. And I said, no, he promised Newtown. But when he went back to Newtown, there was a bit of friction, I think, with some of the people, the older people, about that he'd gone for that 1 year. And I think that sort of a catalyst for his maybe moving to Glenorchy, where he had a lot of mates and a lot of friends at that period of time.
Yeah, not far up the road either. So as I said, it is
no, that's right, close by. Yeah,
it's a big grudge match between the two northern suburbs clubs.
Yeah, so there's a bit of history there. So obviously in that period of time in the 60s, obviously Newtown dominated, had an enormous side, great team, and then after that, Glenorchy really became a dominant power too in the late 70s. So there's certainly a bit of rivalry there.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things we're keen to do today is, as I said, you've got a well-publicised football career. We'd like to dig a little bit into your cricket career. So Bo's got a few profile questions here for you, just to see what we can learn about your cricket life.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was unfortunately, I didn't play cricket for too long because once I went to Melbourne for footy, when I was 18 or so, I played at Richmond Cricket Club where Jim Higgs and Yallop were, but after once pre-season kicked in and practice matches, I sort of dropped away for that. But I started at Newtown because of Dad being there, and so did my young brother Greg. And so I played my first game when I was 14. It was against North Hobart, actually. Les Appleton and Don McLeod and Gary Brakey were obviously state players. So played against them and did okay. Played with Roger Woolley for quite a while at Newtown. So I played for 4 years there. Played Colts and stayed under 19s, 3 or 4 years of that. David Boone was one player I played with, and but then I went to Melbourne. Obviously recruited by Hawthorn after playing a year at Glenorchy. So I went when I was 17 and a half, nearly 18. So I only had the 4 seasons at Newtown. So, and then my brother. He had an auspicious start to his career. He took 7 for 30 or 40 in his first game as a 15-year-old. But then I'd gone to Melbourne and Dad had already gone to Glenorchy. So I think he saw the pang of a lot of his mates were playing at Glenorchy. He then moved to Glenorchy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've talked about your playing days already. So what's your greatest cricket moment?
I probably didn't have that many when I only played for 4 or 5 years. I do remember, I certainly remember my first game, I suppose. I was 14 and a half and I went straight from 3rd grade to 1st grade. I got picked in 2nd grade, it was washed out, then I got elevated the next week, which was a bit of a shock. And looking back was probably too early, but it wasn't pushed by my dad. It was pushed by one of Newtown's great bowlers, Ron Doreen, pushed heavily for it. And I think as a batsman, I came at number 8, but ended up 31 not out. We played for a draw. Roger got an 89, I think, or 89 or a 90, and we were able to stem. We were 9 down at the end, so we got a bit of publicity out of that. So I do remember that vividly. And playing for a Tasmanian under-19 team in Perth, I got a 90-odd one day, so that sort of sticks in my mind at the Wacker. So that sort of sticks in my mind a bit as well.
So have you got a favourite past and present player at the moment?
In Australian cricket?
Oh, any
cricket. I've always, it's interesting coming here and coming to Melbourne that I follow cricket, so I'm really quite passionate about it. So, you catch up with people and meet them through footy circles. I'm pretty good friends with Rodney Hogg. Know Hoggy for quite a while, and quite a few Victorian mixed cricketers, Brendan McCardle and a few of that era, and met Sean Graff. He's a Western Bulldog supporter. So you meet a lot of cricketers through it. Probably my favourite cricketer at the moment. It's an interesting one. You sort of lose the way Australia have gone the last. Tim Payne was a favourite, I must admit. I know he's a relation to Robert Shaw, but I thought he handled himself extremely well and was a very good keeper. The present one's playing at the moment is probably more you dislike than you actually like. I certainly don't mind the way Travis Head bats. I certainly like the way he it on, and cricket has changed. Probably in the old days, growing up in my era, was the Greg Chappell and Lilly were probably the two that you fairly align yourself with at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You've talked us about your 94. Just take us through that game at the under-19s carnival.
Yeah, we played in Perth, I played in Canberra, Melbourne, and Brisbane, which the wickets were a bit up and down, but in Perth they were bouncy as you'd imagine around, and they were true. And we'd beaten New South Wales. We were going okay. Young David Boone was playing in that carnival, and David Smith was captain. David Smith was captain from Launceston. I was vice captain, and we'd won a couple of games, and we'd play in Queensland. At the Wacker, they had 2 ovals going at the same time, 2 grounds. And I remember that carnival we played against, and Jeff Marsh got 100 against us, and Dirk Wellham played. And then we batted first, and I think I might have opened, Ended up with a 90 odd, and I was trying to be cute, trying to run down the 3rd man, and got bowled, unfortunately. And my brother was playing. He was young, and obviously David was playing as well. So then we were able to win the game by 15 runs or so. So we had a reasonable carnival at that stage. And I think the next year I went to Melbourne, and on the back of having already played, I was in the Victorian final squad, which young Dean Jones was in, and ran into Jones. He was a fair bit after that. He always remembered that, and playing footy against him at school when I was over here in Melbourne. And but I, in my wisdom, the carnival was played in Hobart actually. So and Booney from that got an Australian schoolboys team. But I decided to go on Hawthorn's football trip instead of playing for Victoria and the carnival in Hobart. So I'd sort of priorities to enjoy after a long hard footy season to go on the footy trip.
It's a pretty impressive cricket era when you talk about those names. You know, Dino, Booney, Swampy Marsh, Hoggy.
Yeah. Well,
cricket era for Australia.
Not easy to do.
Yeah, it was. Well, the carnival we played in Melbourne, I was only 15, and David Smith, Nick Allenby, and a few others were all about the same age. But it was David Hooks dominated that carnival. But Border played. There was Alderman. New Zealand had a team at that stage. It was Jeff Crow. I wish I'd kept the programs with the names. But there were some titans of Australian cricket playing in that era. And we went to Brisbane the next year, I remember, and the Jeff Rains was opening the bat for Victoria. So he was playing for Victoria, which I spoke to Rainsy about that since. And so he was a pretty good cricketer in his own right as well.
Very good.
So have you had a favourite teammate over the years, Rocket?
At cricket?
Yeah. Or footy, you can go both.
At cricket, it's a little bit hard because I was so young when I played at Newtown. My dad, when I first started, there was Dad and Ron Doreen and guys that I was only 14, but underneath that, I'd seen them win so many games. So there's a lot of older guys in the team. I was probably friendly enough with Roger at the time, Roger Woolley. He was 2 or 3 years older than myself. And being young, you're not going out socially. You're not going out on the drink or anything like that when you're young. So that was probably in that case. Football teammate, I still catch up with people like Ian Payton from Tassie, but John Kennedy and Gary Ayres and Peter Schwab I put up for lunch with before Christmas. So I think because my footy career, I've been heavily involved since I was playing at different clubs. You move around, you really only see guys at reunions and that sort of thing. But now that you're sort of scaling down, you make it an effort to catch up with the guys that you played with. So so probably my favourite teammate there was probably Ian Payton, maybe John Kennedy. Yep.
Have you had a really tough opponent that you versed in cricket? So probably in an under-19 state carnival or even like state level Premier League.
When I was, because there was an expectation, there probably was a bit of expectation on me in the end when I was 16, 17. We weren't a strong side at that stage, getting runs, but a guy like Brian Patterson was should have played for Australia. If we'd had Shield cricket, Brian Patterson would have played for Australia. He was a super player as a bat and a spin bowler. So he was tough. Some of those older guys that I knew of because I'd watched Dad play were really tough competitors. And as a youngster, Les Appleton he would have played for Australia too. He got a 7 for against Western Australia up at Devonport. This is well before Shield cricket. He did a couple of knee injuries through footy, unfortunately, but he was a fantastic opening bowler. So he was always a tough competitor. You've got huge respect for them. So they were the sort of guys that were a lot older than me, but they're the ones that you sort of made an impact on you.
I'm surprised our president Tony Wade's not on there with his slow little medium.
I played Southern Colts with Tony. He was at South Hobart at that stage. He was a really nice guy, Tony. I remember I think I was captain of the Colts and he was vice captain of the Southern Colts when we played the TCA Colts when we played in WTCA and the NTCA. He was a good bat, Tony. He was really. He'd probably tell you how good he was anyway.
he does remind us that he did get you out one day. Yeah. So that's.
Oh, I can't remember that. I think he's making that up.
Last year, but
he couldn't spin a chocolate wheel. I don't know how. He couldn't bowl down a hoop down a road. I must have been blind at the time.
Yeah,
it must have been the nets.
It was very part time, I think.
He must have been in the nets, I reckon.
So a bit more serious at the moment. You were just telling us off air that you've had a lot of media around this. Would you like to just give a bit of a shout out to obviously your old footy club, KG5 Media as well, me and Simon and the whole Glenorchy, I guess, region is backing behind them. Rocket, do you just want to give a bit of a shout out to
Yeah,
them?
thanks, mate. Yeah, it's a bit of the sad news. I knew last year when I fed about the seconds not being able to field a team. I thought, gee, it's a bit strange for such a strong club and a big catchment area of players. And no, I understand there's different reasons. I don't think there's one group responsible for it. I think it's a combination of things. But what I'm hearing, people in the background are rallying the troops, and probably not going to be strong this year. But I'm more than hopeful that they'll survive. And a great Glenorchy stalwart and done a lot for Glenorchy, Tim Williams, going to stand for president. So if any members are out there, I think if we can vote for Tim, I think he's a great Glenorchy man. The whole area, not just the footy club, and used to work at the council, and he's a collaborative man and an energetic person. I think he's really the person that can actually galvanise the community and galvanise the footy club to be not only survive but thrive in the long term.
Yeah, great words. No, and we obviously echo that from us here. We want to see a great cricket and footy club in the region.
Yeah, and that'd be great. I know that you guys now pay KG5, but if we can work together and work as a community like the two sporting clubs, would be fantastic for the area. And I think I don't know the reasons for the footy club, but they've got to work hard on developing the area and working hard to make it a place that players want to go to and be involved in, and that community and club feel, rather than just, I don't know if they've lost that club feel, but I know AFL Tas have got a bit to do with some issues that they need to fix up as well. But I think if we can control our destiny and embrace the community and then get support from other people, I think it can work.
Yeah. Here. So no, look, we look forward to a strong Glenorchy Magpies in the future. Another Tasmanian football story. The Mac Point Stadium, the new stadium, and the Tassie footy team. There's been a lot said in the media, and we know a lot of people talking to you. You're going to give us a few words on that.
Yeah, I'm not too much across the stadium, but I think it's a lot of money for the government to pay, to be honest, not knowing the economics of it. But I know there's a bit of antipathy towards it. I'm not too sure you want to spend all that money on that and then other things fall apart. I'll come back to a solution there, and I've thought about it. But the other thing is, I don't think getting an AFL Tasmanian team is going to fix all ills that exist in Tasmanian footy.
Yep.
And I think it's naive and arrogant of it's the AFL, but people on the mainland saying, "Oh, that'll fix the problem." It won't.
Yeah.
I believe this in any state, but certainly in Tasmania, because of the geography, we need to have strong competitions underneath, and whether that's a statewide, and then even suburban footy and country footy after that, they've got to survive. We've got to, I think, and it's incumbent on the government, but also the AFL to spend money. I think it's more the AFL, because I think the government put enough money in to make sure that these footy communities and sporting communities, so it's netball and these towns, whether it's Campbelltown or Ringarooma or Smithton or whoever, that they're going to survive. We can't just make an elitist program where kids play to 18, don't get drafted, then they go into state or whatever. We need a strong competition, but we also need for the development of whole communities across the state. And I think we can't afford to lose sight of that and just not being an elitist thing. So my solution, I thought about it, and I said on radio this morning that no, it was Tim Lane spoke to me, and he's anti the new stadium, and I can understand why, and a lot of people are. And he said, "Why can't we put less money in, redevelop a ground somewhere like a North Hobart? Can we extend that?" No, it was just something. And I was thinking about it, and I said to him, well, KG5 would be perfect, but there's only one way in and one way out. There's the transport and parking had been an issue. I said, Bell Reeve's got the same issues, but it's on a hill and it's too windy. Then I thought about, is it possible to redevelop a KG5 and its infrastructure around more than, and spend 50, 80, 100 mil. So you're not spending 400. So get the train line back in.
Mhm.
So run the train in buses. Do we a ground around? I know there's a soccer ground still at the bottom of
Yeah, we've got the
KG5.
State League soccer ground, and
Yeah.
we
Can
now
they build another?
it
Can
is
they build another
national,
state league soccer ground?
basketball stadium.
Yeah. Well, can they build another soccer stadium and make it a better one for them somewhere else and convert that into car park and facilities? So, and maybe some roads around it, so the infrastructure around, so people can, if it's in a great location for the northerners come off the highway, you got the main road, but you've got the highway to come in, but it's a bottleneck. So I'm just thinking you can spend, you're not going to make North Hobart a bigger over. I just don't see how you can do that. There's just nowhere to go. But KG5's a good size. It's got good facilities. You need to build another grandstand. But can we develop something like that? Don't spend all the money on a new stadium. Make it this one nearly a state of the art or wherever it is. And then we can put that other money into something else and help the state competitions somehow and pull that money back into grassroots footy.
Interesting concept. As we sit here looking out over KG5 with the mountain behind and the river on the other side, it's not such a bad little spot.
No, it's not. I mean, as it is at the moment, you only just got that one. We've got Anfield Street, and there's no parking. There's no way to get there and get out. But I think you could spend the money more on that than the Oval, because the Oval's good. At North Hobart, you'd have to pull down terraces and whatever to make, because the ground's too small. But Bell Reeve, I don't think, is in the right spot either. So can we save some money and bring a stadium up to scratch? As I said, KG5 is a good side, but obviously needs a lot of work and
interesting concept. I like the thinking. I think we've covered most. I think you had one more question to wrap up there, Bo.
Probably a very obvious one. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it at home, but best spray you've given or received?
I didn't receive too many, and I think the sprays have probably been a bit exaggerated. One that I like, and I get reminded by Robert Murphy or Daniel Jan Syracuse a fair bit, is a humorous one. So I remember, so it's a bit of a long story, but in my first year at the Bulldogs coaching, we played the MCG, and a guy called Daniel Bandy, I don't remember Daniel Bandy, 6'6", athletic from Perth, he's a lovely guy. Like he's a 6'6" guy, but could run like a 400-metre runner. But his footy IQ wasn't great, reading the game or not. So anyway, we played them. So he got the ball at centre half back, and I remember he had a paddock around him, and he stopped. He just didn't know what to do with the ball. Then he got tackled. And after the game, we lost the game. And I spoke about every player, and his nickname was DB, and I said, DB, I said, what are you doing at centre half back? I said, Stevie Wonder would have seen him coming. And Robert Murphy and Gia and a few other players, they started holding their face and trying not to laugh. And then I tried not to laugh. And anyway, so I gave him a bit of a touch-up, but in a funny way. So it was just an interesting story.
Very good. I guess the wrap-up, obviously, as we said, great stories there and always really interesting to chat. The Brian Eade Cup coming up, currently held by Glenorchy Cricket Club.
Yep, won it last year. So good luck to you and the boys over in Melbourne, and thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on board, and all the best to Glenorchy in the season. I hope they go well.
Thanks very much.